Alrighty, so I've just watched this game between the US and Iran for the second time, because the first time I only watched parts of it, but most importantly, the first time I watched this, I catch the last 10 minutes and then that insane stoppage time kind of moment between the US versus Iran, and I'm pretty sure me and 300 million people in this country were glued to their TV and were just pretty much clenching their butt the hardest that they have ever taken in that stoppage time, because let me just say that stoppage time, yeah, it must have aged me at least 15 years, and I'm not exaggerating. I mean, that stoppage time, there was a couple of times where I'm pretty sure my heart and the whole country heart dropped, because there was some really close call that could have gone against the US, but in the end the US survived and they pull out a 1-0 victory in this one against Iran, and they are moving on into the round of 16 to be facing against the Netherlands. Now, going all the way back to talk about the starting 11, we have Matt Turner, Serginho Dest, Tyler Adams, Anthony Robinson, Yunus Musa, Western McKennie, Christian Pulisic, Tim Reeves, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Tim Way, and Jar Sargent. Now, the most notable player on this list that was actually in this game and were or in this game for the first time and are not included in the starting 11 is Walker Zimmerman. Cameron Carter-Vickers actually started in this one, and that was an interesting selection because, you know, while Carter-Vickers, has been whispered that he could definitely get a shot, I didn't think it was going to be a do or die kind of game. And, you know, Walker Zimmerman, I think he's been having a good tournament. Yes, I know the penalty kick that he conceded against Wales is bad, and that you know, and obviously I think maybe that will now be forgotten after the US are moving on into the next round. But imagine if they didn't, then yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be scolding Walker Zimmerman about that moment. That was one of the bigger moments that really cost the US a chance to get all 3 points in that one. But other than that, you know, the starting 11 is kind of what you expected. And now let's get into what happened in this one, because in the first half, you know, if the U.S. was going to win this game, it has to be due in a hostile environment. I mean, there was definitely a good sizable U.S. crowd, but there was definitely a lot of Iranian crowd in the stadium there, and the noise that they were making, especially with the little Vulavuz horn that they had. Yeah, they were making a lot of noises, especially as we talk about what happened in the second half. But as expected, I thought the U.S. was on the front foot. I mean, you knew that the U.S. was going to have to attack, knowing the fact that Iran, they just need to get a draw on this one, and they're moving on into the next round of the World Cup. And again, it's park the bus mode early for Iran. They were pretty much just bunkering, trying to make Nashville SC even proud of how they bunker. I mean, they probably bunker even harder than how Nashville bunker with the way that it's just completely a deep low block, try to frustrate this U.S. side. Though to the credit of the U.S., they didn't really kind of get frustrated, and they definitely did find some success in terms of breaking down that bunker. First of all, Musa had a chance in the 9th minute, but he blasted high from close range. I cannot tell you how big Yunus Musa has been in this tournament for the U.S. And really, both midfielder Musa and Tyler Adams, they have been huge for the U.S. And that, you know, there's a lot of people coming into the tournament have give high praise about Yunus Musa and that he could be a breakout star. And I think after this tournament, you can sense that he is definitely going to get a big money move. I mean, now he is still with Valencia, but you just have a feeling after this performance, he's definitely going to get a bigger club offer, and that there's even talks that he's definitely one of those young players that you definitely want to watch out for, and he is definitely performing at a treat throughout this World Cup. Another player that has been playing well lately in the World Cup is Christian Pulisic. He would hit one right to Beravendi before Beravan there, before Beravan had to punch a dangerous cross away from Serginho Dest in a dangerous area. And, you know, I thought the U.S. again, you know, they were not afraid to break this Iranian back line. They were finding space, especially on the flank. Now, the question is, can they be a little bit better with their delivery? Because at times their delivery wasn't that good, and that's kind of one of the big story and one of the big letdown for the U.S. Because as much as they have done great job on the build-up, it's just that final ball that's been missing, and chances for them to really pounce on. Though in the 28th minute, Tim Weah, yeah, he definitely wanted to have this one back because he had a free header there with no one around him. And while it was kind of him trying to measure his jump there, I mean, that's one that he's got to put it into the back. Like, he did put it on target right to Berevin there, but it was just such a weak header that you got to say for an attacker with the quality of Tim Weah and the guy that scored at this point, the only goal that the U.S. have scored in the World Cup, he's got to bury that one. But the shots were 5-0 in favor of the U.S. And again, they were completely dominating this game up to that part. Weah then puts it over the bar from close range in the 33rd minute. But then in the 38th minute, it finally happened. And it's kind of ironic, the fact that it happened right around the same time when Tim Weah scored that goal against Wales. But this time, who else but Captain America, Christian Pulisic, scoring for Serginho Dest to give the U.S. a 1-0 lead. And coming into this game, you know, there's been a lot of kind of war analogy of how you know, there's been tension between both of these teams in terms of the political front. And I, of course, will not discuss about this because, after all, this is a review, not a CNN kind of show. But in terms of just kind of give you like an analogy here to say about Pulisic goal, I mean, he literally sacrificed himself quite literally for his country, because he paid the price with him trying to take a risk to dive in to get to that one, which he was able to do. And you knew he was going to collide with the goalkeeper, and yeah, you know, he knew that, but he still made that effort, and he got himself reward, even if he had to pay the ultimate price where he was holding his groin and holding his holding his groin very hardly. I mean, in the end, they said it was an abdominal injury, but let's be honest, we know what area he was really holding, and that he also even had to go to the hospital because of this. But honestly, I'm pretty sure if you ask him, do you think it is worth it for him to do that? Especially after this game, he'll do it again, like at least 100 times, because yeah, that was a huge goal for the U.S. knowing the fact that, you know, Iran is going to just bunker the whole game, and that, you know, that there's that big question of the fact that, well, yes, the U.S. have great chances. The longer they stay at 0-0, the more worry I get the fact that the U.S. are going to be frustrated with how Iran was putting a very low block. But with them getting the breakthrough, I was thinking that, well, now look like they could maybe get themselves a second or third goal. And by the way, after the goal was scored, I mean, there was definitely a lot of celebration in the U.S. fans, but after that, the stadium kind of gone completely dead silence. I mean, it was a combination because the Iranian fans were in despair after seeing their team conceding, but also the U.S. fans very, very concerned about the health of their main star, Christian Pulisic. I mean, you know, you don't know if he's actually okay. Yes, I know he paid the price to do so, but you definitely don't want to lose him for the rest of the tournament just because of that. Now, thankfully, from what I heard, is that his injury looks like they're just going to evaluate him, and it's just going to be a day-to-day injury, and let's just hope that he could return, because he means a lot to this U.S. team, especially on the attack. Then in the 40th minute, Sargent would pulls it wide from a tight angle. I thought Josh Sargent had a good game in this one, even though he didn't score. And again, the U.S. being aggressive. They know that you know, one goal is probably not going to be enough, and especially if you don't want to set up a crazy nervy finish in the last 10 minutes, they had to go for the second goal. And it looked like they got the second goal in the 5th minute of stoppage time when Timothy Weah puts it into the back of the net. But the only problem was the goal was disallowed for offside. They did a quick check to see if that is the case, and indeed it is. Though, you know, it's very debatable. Like, when you look on the replay, especially when you look at the image that they show, that's been obviously one of the biggest controversy in this World Cup. Talk about those offside image. Some of them are not exactly correct, and that in this play, it definitely looked like Weah was actually onside on those image. But, you know, apparently they said it is offside, and that, yeah, the U.S. only were able to head into halftime with a 1-0 lead. Now in the second half, Sargent would hit one right to Berevini, as I thought it was a good start for the U.S. And again, it's important. They need to continue this good start. They need to stay aggressive to try to chase for that second goal. That was kind of what was missing in that game against Wales. But instead, that didn't turns out to be the case. And then it started like the game started really look like the game between the U.S. and Wales, where the U.S. really started to back off and allow Iran back into the game. The first shot from Iran came as Gurdos would puts it over the bar from close range, and you can see Iran was starting to set up their lines. Like, they were really starting to get into this game after they pretty much had nothing to work with in the first half, and the Iranian fans, they recognized that, because they were definitely making some noises trying to will their team to try to get the equalizer. Taremi had his first real good look in the 64th minute, but he pulls it just wide from close range before Musa would puts one high on the free kick. And then the U.S. really started to sit deep, and this is where they, you know, I've talked about many times in MLS, talked about row heave mode, and you know, for those of you that's probably watching this video for the first time, the definition of row heave mode is basically when your team decided to just hang on for dear life, either for a 0-0 draw or a 1-0 win on the road. And I thought Great Berhalter decided to do that, because they decided to just completely sit in a deep block, similar to what Iran did to the U.S. early in this, and Iran all of a sudden had all the momentum. And this is where I'm just thinking, oh no, here we go again. Is this how we're gonna do it? We're going to just sit deep and just try to hold on for dear life, because that's, you know, we kind of did the same thing against Wales, and that of course backfired big time. So, you know, this is a huge gamble for Greg Berhalter to do, especially, you know, this could potentially be his last game in charge of the U.S. I mean, you know, I know that there's a chance he could still be in this job, but I'm pretty sure everybody, and even the U.S. Soccer Federation, are probably hoping that they maybe move on to another head coach. So this was really just kind of a gamble, not only in this game, but also just a gamble in terms of the World Cup hope for the U.S. if they want to move on into the next round. But in the 82nd minute, there was a huge shout for a handball that was not given to Iran. I thought that was a good call, because I didn't really see anything that is even deemed to call a handball. I mean, up to this point, Iran was just crying for everything, hoping they can get a call go their way. Then they said that there was going to be 9 minutes of stoppage time. Well, clinch those butt cheeks, America, because boy, oh boy, we are about to go through probably the longest stoppage time moment you ever see, and especially in this one too, where, you know, I know it's just 9 minutes, but it felt like 90 minutes of what I saw in that stoppage time. And every time I look at the clock, it just makes the game goes very slow. So I can imagine how those players and the fans in the U.S. fans feel, you know, in that stadium. I mean, it must be an absolute torture for them to have to deal with. And then in the 3rd minute of stoppage time, I'm pretty sure the entire U.S. team and the entire country had their heart stop for a second, because Puran Linginji would just miss it, said why on the header. It was a beautiful delivery from Iran there, and the Iranian attacker Puran Linginji just could not quite steer that one in. And then there was another heart-stopping moment happen in the 8th minute of stoppage time, when there was a huge shout for a penalty, as Iran feel like Taremi was brought down by Carter Vickers. I think that was a good no call, because when you look on the replay, it was pretty clear that Taremi went down the ground way too easily. Yes, Carter Vickers did get some contact to it, but it was nothing looked like he was intended to try to push him there. It was clearly Taremi trying to draw the penalty. They're trying to maybe go with the wizardry of dark arts to convince the referee to give the penalty. And, well, you know, in the end, I'll say that it was a good call. You never know. I mean, we've seen in this World Cup, there's been some very controversial moments, and that there's been calls that have got it wrong, and that I was worried that this was going to be one of those calls that would go against the U.S. And knowing the fact that the U.S. has always been screwed, especially in the World Cup qualifying, the CONCACAF part, I just feel like they're probably going to get screwed again in this one. But very fortunate that was not the case. The right call was clearly made. And then in the 10th minute stoppage time, Haji Wade decided to hit one right to the Iranian goalkeeper, and that is definitely not the right move to do. I mean, I immediately put he should have ran to the corner flag. Like, even when I'm watching this the second time, I'm still kind of very nerve-wracking seeing that, and I pretty much just had to write all caps, because even then I was still livid of what Haji Wright did here. You should not be be shooting from that distance. You had spaces to run. All you have to do is just run the corner flag and just kill off whatever time is left in this. But yeah, I mean, it was a very selfish effort, and again, fortunate for him, it did not come back to haunt the US, because in the end, the US, despite the fact that, you know, in that stoppage time, you can definitely see guys, they were giving every last ounces. In fact, I feel like the US, they might have ran out of fume heading into that stoppage time, but maybe just that adrenaline rush and knowing the fact that it is do or die for them, that maybe just give them enough strength to move on into the next round, as in the end, like I said, the US move on in a must-win game against Iran with a 1-0 lead, and they will be playing against the Netherlands in the next game. As the shots in this one, I actually got it backwards there, so let me just write this again, because the US didn't get just 4 shots, they got more than that in this one, so let me just write that again. So it was 12 shots compared to the 4 that Iran has. 5 shots on goal for the 1 that Iran has. 3 shots off target for the 4 that the US had. 3 shots that was blocked for the none that Iran has. And possession-wise, 49% possession compared to 51% possession that the US had. Again, the US had a lot of possession, but it kind of evened out because Iran was really pushing late and had all the possession in the latter part of this game. And yeah, breathe, America. They made it. They made it into the next round. And honestly, I think when you look at this tournament, and I know after when the US eventually could get eliminated in the knockout stage, I mean, I know some crazy people will say that they of course win the World Cup. I mean, it would take an absolute miracle for if that of course is going to be the case. But you know, after when this tournament is over, I will say that, you know, for the US, it's probably going to consider a success for them. And I know some people might not think it that way, because they feel like this was maybe the bare minimum for them to get out of the group. But you got to remember, this team is a very young team, and that they have to face so much adversity to make it to this World Cup. And even in this World Cup, they had to face so much adversity to even get out of the group, and especially of what we saw in this game against Iran. And that, I think at the end of the day, there should be nothing but proud in terms of this young US side, because we know this team has not peaked. This is just the beginning of what could be something very special for this team, especially with the World Cup happening here in just 4 years' time. So the fact that with a lot of these players playing their first World Cup and getting their first taste of the big stage and able to succeed to make it into the next round, it's already considered a success, no matter what's going to happen in the game against the Netherlands in the round of 16. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this game? And let me know in the comments below how much oxygen you had to breathe in after when this game is over. Because like I said, I'm pretty sure everybody was reaching to their oxygen supply after this game was over, of how intense and how nerve-wracking that stoppage time was. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this review? And also let me know in the comments below, do you think that no matter what happened in that game against the Netherlands, is this tournament considered to be a success for the US? But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.